Hello, Aligned fam, and welcome to the first episode of the Women series, where I'm going to cover a lot of common situations that us women go through. And I want to inspire a healthier mindset as well as productive ways to handle these situations. The first this episode is going to cover an extremely important topic, which are the hurdles that us women endure in our careers and the practical solutions. I, like most women, I just want to focus on the good. I want to move on. I don't want to cause a scene. But I've learned that by hiding the truth or sharing these stories amongst us behind closed doors isn't doing anyone a favor. It's through using our voice, sharing our stories that we can shed light on things that really need to improve, really need to change. We're able to protect other women from going through similar experiences. And I think the third thing, which is also really important, is when we're able to use our voice and own our story, we begin our own healing journey, right? You're not trapping the trauma, you're not trapping a lot of guilt that's not even yours in your own body. And lastly, is I always highlight that only hurt people hurt people. So by not sharing your stories, by not sharing things that were undesirable that happened to you, protecting the culprit, you're actually hurting the culprit because they can't reflect in the mirror and think about the things that they've done and how it has a negative consequence, not only to you, but hopefully not, but it may hurt other people that they do the same, undesirable thing to. So I think for all these reasons, I really wanted to have a very open, honest conversation about these obstacles that us women face in our careers. And I want to have, I consider myself quite a strong person. I'm quite outspoken. And even when I go through certain situations, I second guess myself and I question myself, right? I can only imagine what other women who are maybe more, I would say, more introverted, don't use their voice as much. I just want to share this episode and give those women permission to use their voice and start their own healing journey. So, with that said, the kind of 6 areas we're going to focus on today is being your biggest fan, laser focus on results the feminine way. When our skill set is minimized, what do we do about it? Protection from unwanted advances, giving yourself permission, and lastly, how men can support us. And I really want to dedicate this episode to all the men, and there's a lot of men who have supported me and made me feel safe throughout my career. And it's how they've protected me and how they've given me strength. It's because of them that I'm always constantly motivated to do the right thing, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, and protect and heal more women. So with that said, let's kind of dive right into the first one is being your biggest fan. I think for starters, for women, I understand a lot of us have been raised to be nurturing, be empathetic, be the balance, right? But I think it's so important to never diminish yourself and your self-worth and what you bring to the table. And the most important thing is confidence, right? Do you believe that you can achieve all the goals that you want, right? Do you believe that you deserve to be treated in a certain way, a way of respect, right? Do you hold yourself with in high integrity, and do you expect people to hold that integrity with you? The way you present yourself and their confidence really does set the tone. If you kind of show up like a people pleaser and you show up just always saying yes to everyone else without having any boundaries, you're basically telling people how to treat you. How you treat yourself is how people are going to treat you, right? So I think the first thing is really check your confidence. And if you don't believe that you can achieve the things that you want to achieve, if you don't believe you deserve to be treated with respect, you really need to check with yourself, your limiting beliefs. You can work with a coach, you can work with a therapist. There's also workbooks that you can work on your own if you're more comfortable that way. But as a person, but especially as a woman, we need to unlearn just like keep the peace. Number one, you have to have peace with yourself, and it only comes when you know your worth and you're confident in yourself, and you know you deserve to be treated that way. So I think I want to first highlight the importance of confidence. Second, I've kind of dabbled on it, but respect, right? Do you believe you deserve to be treated with respect from everyone, right? not just, your friends and family, people close to you, but like especially at work, your teammates, your boss, your clients. Yes, your boss and your clients also need to respect you. It's a two-way street, right? So I would say, how do you have self-respect? Do you believe that you deserve to be respected? And I would also say there's a way to put out energy when you're in a business meeting where I want you to be a woman. Like, we're women, we're very warm, we're nurturing. That's the beauty of us. Don't ever lose that. Be feminine. There's a way to be feminine and be kind and be sweet, but also show up in a way that you mean business and you're here strictly for business. So, you can work with a coach, you can kind of work on with yourself, kind of whether it be recording yourself in a pitch, hearing how you come off in tones, getting feedback from people that you're close with. How do you come off, right? You should come off in a way that you command respect because you respect yourself, and you can still keep your feminine side. You don't need to be a man, right? So I think that's extremely important. And last is, we as a society women have been pinned against each other for so long. And I would love for it to end soon, but unfortunately I just don't, it keeps happening, right? Don't worry about your competition. Your competition is not the other person, the woman. It's not the other teammate. It's not the other woman in the room, right? Your competition is candidly not even other guys in the room. Your competition is genuinely yourself and who you were yesterday. You need to focus on growing you versus worrying about what other people are doing in their own lane, right? I think very beautifully, the most recent event is when, Taylor Swift and Beyonce is having their concerts. People keep tours. People keep pinning them against each other. And what a beautiful way to show the world that they support each other and women support women than for Beyonce to show up at Taylor Swift's movie premiere launch for the Eras tour, right? Support other women. Find other strong women. You want to know how men are successful and how they climb up in their careers? They help each other. They have each other's back. They have packs. Us women need to create packs as well, right? We are not each other's competition. You need to focus on being better than who you were yesterday. That is the only way you're going to make it. Making someone else look worse or worse off or sabotaging doesn't make you better. So I would just really highlight that. Having strong, courageous, you know, women that are killing it in your close circle is only going to help you. And you have to also give back that energy and be helpful and be supportive as well. So very much, those are the things I want to focus on about the importance of being your biggest fan. Everything starts with you. Second thing is laser focus on results the feminine way. Reality is, women, we don't get the benefit of the doubt that men genuinely do, right? In the world of finance, immediately goes to track record, immediately goes to your history, immediately goes to what you've done. Versus, generally speaking, when a man shows up, there's an element of, oh yeah, sure, we trust he can get it done. We trust he'll handle it, right? And I think one thing I want to highlight there is, women, again, advocate for yourself. I'm sure some of you have seen the study, but when there's a job posting and say there's 10 requirements, men will see they'll have 2 or 3 requirements of the 10, and they apply and they think, oh, I can do the job, because they trust they can figure it out, right? They can trust they can get the job done if they got the role. Women can have 8 out of the 10 qualifications and they think, oh, I can't do it, I don't have all 10, right? First is, again, how do you see yourself and have more faith in yourself? I think that's the first thing, right? So if you're not your biggest fan, you can't expect other people to be a big believer in you either. So when I say focused on, because we don't get benefit of the doubt, it's so much is based on our track record and our history. The only way you're going to make it is to be laser focused on results, right? Laser focused on getting to your goal, getting things done, and let your successes, let your track record, let what you've achieved speak for itself. And so And I'm very clear on that because a lot of women come to me and they'll say they feel like they have to do with the masculine when they have to be very assertive or aggressive, especially when women are in sales. They think like, oh, I need to be super pushy and super whatever. And all the things that I can tell from their body language they're not comfortable doing because they're not men. We're just wired differently, right? Women, lean into your femininity, right? What does that mean? We have an amazing gut and sixth sense. We have what we call the womb energy. We bear children, like we literally create humans, right? We're very close to the divine. If you're a spiritual person, we're essentially the closest thing to divinity, right? We have this intelligence within us. Use it. What does that mean? Your gut will tell you, it's kind of like a GPS. They'll tell you what situations are worth focusing on, what situations are not. If you listen to your gut, you'll know like, have you kind of let your boundaries slide? Are you being too harsh? Are you not being harsh enough? Enough. I would really encourage you to tune in to your gut. And I think oftentimes when you're in a professional field for so long, you kind of forgot to use your intuition, which is a lot of feeling, right? We're told, oh, use your mind. Don't focus on your feelings. Focus on logic. Focus on your mind. Your mind and logic can only make patterns out or like make decisions based on what has happened in history, right? It's harder for your mind to be creative. It's your gut and your heart that can come up with more creative solutions and something different. So I encourage you, women, is use your intuition of how you want to handle every situation, right? Sit in silence. I would say if you don't meditate, or just have like 5 to 10 minutes in the morning and be in silence and think through what you want to accomplish through the day, how you want to show up. Trust that inner intelligence. Don't tune it out. That's the biggest lie. We have something within us embedded. Please use it. And I would also say, related to that, care about how you do things, right? You're not a man. You don't need to operate like a man, right? There's many ways to get something done that is sometimes the common themes I hear is like, oh, it seems so abrasive. It seems so aggressive. We are naturally nurturing. We're naturally able to find, a balance between two sides. So lean into that, right? Lean into your own unique problem solving skills. No one can do things the way that you can. You have a unique way of doing things. Leverage that and feel a sense of power within you that you have a unique code of getting things done. And one thing I want to really highlight is the ancient Greeks called the divine gift the ability to project both warmth and strength at once, which is super rare. Women, we naturally have this, like the strength. Think about the things we go through day to day. We bear children. I don't even know, like, if there's no other sign of strength, it's definitely that, right? We're strong and we're naturally very warm. We're the caretakers, we're the balance. So don't forget this inner power you have and definitely use it. Third thing is especially, obviously it's not been the easiest markets and fundraising has not been the easiest from a company perspective or a fund perspective. And I'm seeing more women come towards me about this. And I just want to highlight something that will just hopefully help unlock a different mindset for women. So the third thing is, what happens when our skill set is minimized? What happens when our successes are attributed to anything besides our skill, right? When you achieve any kind of success, especially as a woman, you're gonna have people who are gonna want to credit your successes to not your pure skill, anything but, and it's gonna trigger you and it's gonna upset you because you yourself know the truth, right? Keep in mind, when you let other people's opinions and thoughts, especially when you know it's not true, you know yourself, you know that you got that job done because you're good at your job. You know you fundraise because you understand your clients better than anyone else. You knew you got that deal because people felt the most comfortable with you. They trusted you. All these important skill sets it takes to get a business deal done, right? You know the truth, right? You don't need, like, when people say things that, are sometimes crazy about how you got the deal done, and they're always going to say the most ludicrous things, right? When you let other people's thoughts in, you're basically, and letting it affect you, you're letting in devil energy, I call it, and you're letting them dictate your next steps. You let them get to your head in your head, right? And then you also, when you let people get to you, you're essentially agreeing with them, right? There's no need to spend time defending yourself. Again, we have to be laser focused on the results. You just keep being excellent. You just keep being better at what you do. You just keep developing your skill sets further. Like what you accomplish will speak for itself. And people who do business with you, people who are your clients, people who are your teammates who know you, they know who you really are. And it's amazing. I feel, I'll give you an example, right? Like, of course, people will say things about me like, oh, I mean, I think some of the common things like maybe I have like RBF, or I don't sometimes seem like the nicest person for whatever reason, or I get comments sometimes if people don't know me that I can come off very conceited, right? So, and people have these like preconceived notions before they meet me because, everyone has a rumorville. Guess what? It helps me. And I'll explain this. When someone, you know, for some reason people say certain things about me, and so they think, oh, Jess is like vibrating here. She's not very nice. She's very conceited, like blah, 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 blah. Okay. When they meet me, like, or like, oh, she's not very smart. She's just pretty. When people meet me and they meet like the real me, literally, I say anything remotely intelligent. I literally I say a nice compliment. Any little thing I do, because it's so different from what they were told through the rumorville, the number of times I hear, oh my God, you're nicer than I thought. Oh my God, you're very smart. Oh my God. It's amazing. So if anything, I've actually embraced when people, speak negatively of me to others who don't know me. It actually gives me more attention because, first of all, they are now aware of my presence. And even if you don't like someone, you think something negative of someone, when you're aware of them, you naturally give them attention when you're at an event or when you're out and about, right? And then when you meet me, oh my God, it's like this discrepancy of what they said versus what I am is so high. It's like this positive effect that actually helps me and it helps my reputation. So I just encourage for all the women who, and I know like I'm definitely not the only person who goes through this, right? For the women who you feel like, why are these kind of people saying things about me? Like, there's so many reasons why. It could be jealousy. It could be, upset about something. Maybe you rejected a guy before and now he wants to, destroy everything about your career. It doesn't matter. That's why I always say stop letting and don't need to defend yourself. Just keep showing up as you. People are going to touch the real you. They're going to feel the real you. They're going to feel your aura, how you show up, your essence. That's going to speak for itself. So I would just say when people say undesirable things about you, focus on being excellent, being a good person, and showing up and doing the right thing. And don't feed into that energy. There's no need. Obviously, there are times when you have to take extreme measures, and if legal action needs to be taken, like obviously consult your lawyer and get that done. But if it's just here little like undesirable rumors or comments here and there, it's really none of your business. So I really want to focus on that, right? And again, back to Taylor, because Taylor's on everyone's mind now. Think about how much that woman has gone through. And I've done a whole episode about overcoming pain and using pain as fuel. Definitely listen to that if this is resonating with you. But like, look at Taylor. Look at how much hate she's gone through. People would make fun of her. Oh, she writes stupid, silly songs about her dating life. She had a lot of feuds with, big people in the music industry. She had her music rights sold off. She had to re-record so many things. She was canceled by a majority of people for a while. Like, there's so much she's been through and think about it. Do we talk about Leo DiCaprio that way? Do we ever say like, oh, he's, such a whore for dating her? We don't ever say that, right? We don't question, oh, does Ed Sheeran write all his lyrics? People question if Taylor wrote her lyrics. As a woman, you're going to get more scrutiny. That is just the reality of what we live in now. As a woman, though, your job is to power through the noise. It is just noise. The only thing that can stop you from achieving your goals is your thoughts about yourself. Do you believe in yourself? And the actions you take. That's it. Don't worry about anything else. Look at Taylor. And also, the smart thing is use any negativity that comes to you and convert it like an alchemist into power, right? I really don't believe there's anything as negative attention. Like, you get attention, and then when people meet you, you convert it, right? So just keep that in mind. And I know a lot of women, I feel as of late, have been feeling this sense of like being diminished for their efforts, or they're seeing successes and people are saying things that like they don't deserve it and whatnot. Power on, keep going, ladies. You're crushing it. Um, and I would say now a really important part of it is protecting yourself on unwanted advances. I don't wish this upon anybody, but more often than not, if you're a woman in a professional industry of it's, more male dominated, you're going to have unwanted advances and in certain situations where you're going to be uncomfortable. And this is so important because I am so happy to see more and more women joining professional industries, rising up the ranks, and it's amazing. But I want to be cognizant and just I want to educate that these things can happen, how we can prevent it, or how we can, handle the aftermath if these things were to happen, right? I think first and foremost is, again, a woman's gut is so powerful. Trust your intuition. If you're uncomfortable, that feeling is all you need. You don't need evidence. You don't have to say, oh, well, he's never done anything, or like, oh, if your gut feels like, his tone seems off, the timing seems off, like, why are we meeting so late at night? Trust the gut. And if you're not comfortable, you need to flag it. Either you bring a male colleague or teammate with you to that meeting, or you find another time that you feel more comfortable, like during the day. I'm a big believer in this, and I always get asked this about how, like, just like, in your finance career, you are always out and about with men, you're always in meetings. How do you set boundaries? Like, you seem quite firm on business is business. And that's just how I've always been, right? I just have guidelines and certain rules where, for example, the way I show up, my tone, I am friendly, I am feminine, but I'm very clear I'm here strictly for business. And it's also by the way you show up, and it's also the actions you take. For example, I don't take any business meetings one-on-one with a man after 7 p.m. Like dinner time, that's it. After, absolutely. For me, that's my boundary. If it was that important of a meeting, we would find another time where it works for both of us and I'm comfortable. I think a lot of times, especially when women are in fundraising roles, you're raising for your own, for fun or a company, whatnot, we tend to be very accommodating and say like, oh, he got off a late flight, or it's really hard to get this meeting. You have to respect yourself and your feelings and your body as a woman first and foremost, okay? There's going to be plenty of opportunity for you to close that deal, to close that fund. But you cannot put your feelings and your body and your safety before those goals. Hard stop. It's a matter of respecting your own body and trusting that you're going to get this done in a way where you don't have to compromise yourself, right? That's really important. And like just sharing that to share the boundary I have, right? Like after 7 p.m., no meetings, right? If I'm uncomfortable, and I'll share a story later on, I leave the meeting. I politely excuse myself. I don't want to cause a scene, but if I'm comfortable and I feel like my safety is being jeopardized, I won't stay. So just ask yourself, what are the boundaries that work for you? What makes you feel comfortable? And if you say like, oh, there's no one on my team I would feel comfortable bringing to a meeting, or, my firm doesn't really prioritize things like this, they just want me to get the things done at all costs, you need to check and ask yourself, or why are you working for a firm, a team, or a boss that doesn't care for your well-being? And you're so quick to give all of your time and your energy into this job. There's thousands of jobs, there's millions of jobs. You don't have to pick this team. Have more, I would say, self-respect and self-worth to say you deserve to be part of a team where you will put your heart and soul into it but they will also put their heart and soul into you and protecting you. So just things to keep in mind about creating boundaries. And another thing, and I got these comments too, and it's not always from men, let's be clear, it's also from women, older women, about the way you dress, right? I trust as a woman, and if you mean business, you know how to dress that's appropriate, right? On the other side is, especially when you're in a sales role or you're in a client facing role and you're going to events a lot, right? There are times when it's summertime. Of course, you're not always going to wear, business formal, even business casual. There are times when there's even like times when you may be on a beach and you run into an investor, or you run into um, a peer, right? You have to live your life. I want to be really clear. You can be in a bikini and it doesn't give a man a right to make you feel uncomfortable or cross a line. There's nothing that you can wear that warrants that kind of attention without you saying yes. Only yes means yes. Okay. So I've gotten feedback like that before, and it's kind of shocking when it doesn't come from men, it comes from women. I'm giving you all a clear heads up as women. I don't care what you're wearing. It is non-excuse. And these are grown men that we're dealing with. Okay. They need to learn to control themselves like grown men, like most men do. Okay. So really clear about the outfit element and comments that you may get. And I'll give you an example of that what has happened to me and how I kind of handled it. I was in my mid-20s at meeting up with a peer, business meeting, very clear business meeting. And he was trying to hug me, hold me close, like eventually try to kiss me and hold my hand, right? Clearly crossing the line, inappropriate. When I felt uncomfortable, I mean, even for me, I consider myself, very strong sense of self. I started questioning, thinking, did I do something to make him think that this was not a business meeting? As women, we're very empathetic. We try to reflect and think what we could have done better, right? There's nothing you could have said or done to like that would warrant that kind of behavior in a business meeting, right? So I excused myself. He wanted to go to dinner. I excused myself. And he could tell, obviously, my whole body language changed and was like, are you okay? Like, just kind of playing dumb with me. And I was like, I'm good. I just want to go home. I'm tired. I went home, and this is the first time it ever happened to me. And it took me weeks to kind of process, like, what just happened? Did I do anything wrong? Like, you just start internalizing the shame and the guilt, right? A couple weeks later, the woman that introduced me to this gentleman reached out to me. She's an amazing woman. She's been kind of a mother figure to me. And somehow within me, I just felt called to tell her what happened. And thank God I did, because apparently there's other cases where this man was acting inappropriate to other women. So now when it's coming and it's a pattern, what happened was he was no longer invited to this event. He was obviously removed from the group, and we prevented other women from going through that situation. So I just share that story because it's very common for women when at first time it happens to you, internalize it and you think, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. Okay. These are grown men that know what they're doing. And it's super important for you to use your voice so you can start the healing and you don't hold on to that shame. Because if you hold on to that shame and that guilt, that's not, first of all, it's not yours to hold. If you don't process your emotions, you're going to get physically sick. And then you can even sabotage relationships, romantic, business, whatever. What if you now are afraid to go into meetings alone because you don't know if it's going to happen again? What if the trauma stuck in your body? You think negatively of men now, and it's hard for you to date. There's so many things that could happen when trauma stuck in your body, which is why it's extremely important for you to use your voice, share it, release it, and also let that man who's clearly hurting start his healing journey. So want to share that story. And one thing, another thing I really want to highlight is fight or flight is something that we're very commonly aware of, right? But when something like that happens to a woman, your body can fight, flight, or freeze. So what it does is your body freezes up to play dead, hoping those actions would stop. And I share this because oftentimes us women don't know this is a possibility until it happens. So sometimes when you freeze, when something unfortunate happens to you and you freeze, people would say, like, why didn't you run? Why didn't you whatever? You literally couldn't. Your body was in shock, right? So again, don't internalize that. When that happens to you, now that you're aware of it, knock on wood, if you're in that situation, do anything to make a move. Because the moment you move and you kind of get out of that lock, the other person's aware, like, oh my God, like she's obviously affected by this. She's moving differently, and hopefully it'll get him to move differently. But be aware that freezing does happen, and do your best ability to get out of that freeze. Anything, even a finger movement, name it, scream, whatever it may be, right? But it does happen. Be mindful of it. And the way to obviously handle that situation, any situation, is you have to use your voice and you have to speak up to protect other women from happening it and also help your own healing journey. And cover that. And I would say the important thing of giving yourself permission. So a lot of times there's a little bit of a imposter syndrome, or especially when we think, like, who am I to do this? There are already so many people doing this. Who am I to? You have a unique purpose on this earth. And if you really listen to your gut and you really listen to your intuition, you'll know what it is. And if it's something you know you're called to do, that's the permission that you need. You don't need the world's permission. You sharing your gift, you sharing and you creating something, you don't know how many people you're going to heal and help and bond with by sharing what you're meant to do on this earth. You're meant to create. Like, think about Taylor, right? If she just locked herself in a room and didn't, when she was getting all this heat and hate, and she didn't create art, think about all the songs and music videos and healing memories that we would have not experienced if she didn't create that art. So give yourself permission. Like, I think as women, sometimes we wait for permission. We wait to be asked to do something. Raise your hand, lean in, be your number one fan. That's so, so important. And I would say lastly is really for the men, I want to be clear. Most men, it's like 90, a high number, 90% of men are super, from my experience and from my clients' experience, super kind, wants to support women, advocating. It's only a few bad eggs who haven't done their healing, clearly going through trauma, and passing it on to other women. There are amazing men out there, and I really call the men to watch out. Now that you're aware of this, watch out for these scenarios where you might see a female peer being uncomfortable. Reach out to her and ask her, like, hey, like, is everything okay? Want me to join you in the meeting? Also, trust your gut on things. Like, you guys can pick up when something's off. Just be more mindful in an office setting or in a corporate setting of how you can lean in and really support the women, right? And when you see a bad actor, do the right thing and speak up. Do the right thing and protect the woman. Do the right thing so it doesn't happen again. And also ask yourself, do you really want to do business? Do you really want to work with a man that's going to abuse his power on a woman? Do you really want to work with someone or do business with someone who clearly has some traumas that he hasn't healed that's going to hurt other people? Listen, we're all a work in progress. We're all healing and learning and unlearning our journeys. But to see someone who actively behaves like this to women, do you really think that person is not going to screw you in other ways? How you do something, one thing, is how you do everything. And it shows a lot about a person's character and integrity, the way they treat women. So just things to keep in mind if you're a man, how you can lean in, how you can support us and protect the women. So with that said, I just really want to highlight a quick summary of what we discussed today, the obstacles that women go through in our careers and the solutions. So we went through being your biggest fan, the importance of really being your number one advocate, being laser focused on the results, but doing it the feminine way. When our skill sets is minimized, when we achieve success and people try to ding us or accredit our success to anything else, how do we handle it? 4 is protection from unwanted advances, extremely important. giving yourself permission, and lastly, how men can support us. So I hope this episode was helpful, healing, made you feel seen, and please share this to any woman or man, but especially the women who you feel can benefit from just being heard and seen. And I really encourage you guys to support each other, support the Line family, and share your stories, because it's through sharing our stories, owning back our own voice and our truths, that we're really going to heal not just the women and the men, but heal as a community and create more conscious communities and more conscious industries in business.